If you like this video, why not subscribe? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Frugal Filmmaker Tip of the Month. Today I'm going to be talking about something I've talked about before, and that's airsoft guns, using them in your movie. And the reason I'm talking about it again is because I've had some more experience with them on set when I made my thesis film collection day, and I wanted to share the things that I learned with you today because some of them can be very useful. I think if you plan on using something like this. This is a Beretta PX4 Storm Subcompact Airsoft clone. This isn't the real thing, this is an airsoft gun, but it looks great, and it's made out of metal. The slide stays back, or you can, it acts like a normal firearm would, and you have magazines that eject, and it's all sorts of great. Just the actions alone, I mean, make this awesome. This is a gas blowback gun, so that when you charge it with green gas and you pull the trigger, the slide goes back and forth, and then you know exactly where you should put your muzzle flashes in post. So gas blowbacks are real popular for filmmakers. A lot of people use them because of the actions, specifically the gas version versus something like the electric version, because the gas just looks better, it moves faster, etc., etc. But I picked these because I like the way they looked. I did a lot of research on what I wanted my near future government agents to carry, and I really liked the Beretta PX4 Storm Subcompact, so that's what I went with, for a bunch of different reasons which I won't discuss here. But anyway, I just wanted to share some things that I learned after using these on set. The first one was, the first issue I had was, because these have become so realistic, and the more money you spend on them, the more realistic they become. For example, in a real gun, when you are out of ammunition and you fire it, the slide will stay back like so, telling you that you're out of ammo and you need to swap magazines. And that's what happens with these airsoft guns as well, at least a lot of them, the ones that are trying to be as realistic as possible. And that's because they have a little mechanism in the magazine that will, basically it's like a switch. It will pop up and tell the gun that, hey, you're empty, and to keep the slide back, much like a real gun. So what I had to do was I had to take that little mechanism out, which essentially was connected to the spring in the magazine. So once I did that, and put in the modified magazine, of course I'm out of gas there, but it would continue to fire opposed to forcing the slide to be back, like so, when you are empty. Next up, I want to talk about what you can use to power your airsoft guns and why. Now, you need something, obviously gas, that's going to make the gas blowback firearm slide move back and forth, so you know where to put the muzzle flashes and look more realistic, etc., etc. But how do you do that? Well, there's two things you can use. There's this, which is called green gas, and essentially this is propane that isn't smelly, and you've got actual propane. Now the difference is that you can get a couple of these for about 20 bucks, and this one will cost you about $3, and it's a lot more gas. Now if you want to put this inside of your firearm, you're going to need a special adapter you can get for about $20. I'll leave all the links below to this stuff. And now you can charge your guns with it. And what you do is you take your magazine, it's got a little spigot on the bottom, you invert your gas canister, whether it's green gas or propane, and you charge it that way. Push down on the top, the gas goes inside, and your magazine is charged. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why would I use green gas if this stuff is so much cheaper, especially in the long run, as you pay for this once, then you can buy these for $3 a pop as you need them in any department store, basically. Well, one thing I learned is that I actually decided to use more green gas than propane because of the smell factor. A lot of my film was shot inside of a house, and so I didn't want to leave a stinky house when I was done. And so even outside, this stuff is really smelly because that smell is added in there so that you'll know if there's a gas leak, if you have gas going into your house or whatever. Okay, my final tip is something that I brought up before in an earlier airsoft video, and that is one of the things that is a dead giveaway. You're using an airsoft replica, and that's the diameter of the barrel, especially when you point the prop weapon into the camera. It's not going to look as large as a real gun. If you're familiar at all with real firearms, it'll just be really noticeable that you're using something that's 6 millimeters instead of 9 millimeters like a real gun. So one thing that I wanted to do was get my firearms to look more realistic by giving them a wider barrel. How do you do that? There is a small brass barrel on the interior of this airsoft gun that I've actually painted black. Now the brass is kind of a dead giveaway if you can see it, but if you can't see it because it's black, it kind of disappears into the barrel and makes the whole thing look bigger. Now here's one over here that actually has the paint chipping a little bit. I don't know if you can really see the difference there, but the black barrel does act as kind of a shadow, hiding the barrel itself. And I actually think it works pretty good. So if you do have a lot of shots like this, or even like this, or like this, and you see the end of that barrel, if it's black, it will disappear a lot easier into your shot, and people won't notice as much that you're using an airsoft gun. So that's the final tip. I hope all of these tips can be useful. This has been the Frugal Filmmaker Tip of the Month.